Iowa State took on Memphis this afternoon in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. That's where we find our Local 5 sports team to recap the game.
Iowa State entered today with 4 road wins in a row and as 10.5-point favorites over Memphis. Neither of those numbers were an indication of the result. Deja vu all over again. Iowa State and Memphis in the Liberty Bowl. It was a disastrous start for the Cyclone defense. Seth Hennigan beats the Cyclones over the top. 70-yard touchdown to Demir Blankumsey on the opening drive. That makes it 6-0 Memphis. ISU then turned the ball over on downs, and the Tigers took advantage. Hennigan runs in from 11 yards out. It's 13-0 Memphis, just 10 minutes into the game. Iowa State goes on to punt again, setting up another huge play by Memphis. This time, Hennigan finds former Cyclone Joe Skates 51 yards for the score. Skates transferred away from Ames after the 2020 season. It's 19-0 Tigers, but Iowa State had a good response. Rocco Becht to Jaden Higgins down the sideline, 29 yards untouched, cuts the deficit to 19-7. We jump to the third quarter. Midway through it, Memphis up by 16, and it's another long scoring play. Sutton Smith avoids 3 Cyclones and finds the end zone. 36-13 Tigers on the verge of a blowout. But Becht connects with Dean. ISU gets a stop, and then Becht threads the needle to Jalen Knoll. 23-yard score. But ISU missed the 2-point conversion that would have made it a 1-score game. And then Memphis bled the clock. A 9-minute drive to seal the Liberty Bowl, 36-26. Iowa State finished the game with 0 rushing yards and gave up 8 yards a play. Now, you got to give the Cyclones credit. They didn't roll over when down 23, but all that together is not a winning formula. Now, Raina has more on how this game is reflective of the season.
Yeah, Jake, this loss certainly stings, not only because Iowa State was a 10.5-point favorite coming into this game and ended up losing by 10, but it was a disappointing end to what was a pretty successful season considering everything that they've been through. And you really do have to tip your cap to the Cyclones. You know, even though they got down big, they didn't go away quietly, and they showed that same resilience that we've seen from them all season long. And Matt Campbell says even though they really wanted to finish out the season with the win, he knows his team will be all the better for it.
The character and the way our kids responded was really kind of, showing who this group has been all year long, back against the wall, going through tough and trying times, and our kids never quit. And so I'm really proud of what our team's about. Certainly proud of the character and the humility in our locker room. Some of the shortcomings we have today will be a great spark for us going into the offseason.
Now, there were some bright spots in this game that the team can build on moving forward. And that was the performance of redshirt freshman quarterback Rocco Becht. He threw for 446 yards and 3 touchdowns, setting a new Iowa State bowl game record for passing yards that was previously set by Brock Purdy in the 2018 Alamo Bowl. Even though he had a standout individual performance, he gave credit to his coaches and his teammates for putting him in a position to succeed.
Coach Shios and the offensive staff gives me a good opportunity to, whatever, they were to show us on defense. They put me in the ability to progress through the concept and the play. So I felt like they did a good job doing that, and just give credit to the receivers and the offensive line for giving me time back there, and just the receivers going to make plays, especially Jaden on a couple of those deep balls downfield.
Well, that concludes our coverage of the AutoZone Liberty Bowl here in Memphis. But up next, Jake and I will be heading to Orlando to follow the Hawkeyes as they get ready to take on Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl. Reporting from Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, Raina Garcia, Local 5 Sports.